40 plus years ago, when I decided to go into journalism, my plan was to become a sports writer. That changed when I found the next best thing, writing about politics. After all, you could use some of the same verbs and cliches. Candidate A soundly defeated Candidate B. Candidate C eked out a win over candidates D and F. Candidate X topped Candidate Y in a contest that went down to the wire. My career change was affirmed when I went to a farm in Collier County and watched a guy named Bob Graham heavily sweating it out on the field, doing some heavy lifting. He was a candidate at the time. He was doing one of his patented work days as a tomato picker. Man, this guy was huffing and puffing. Yet he persevered to victory, becoming Florida governor. So we just finished the playoffs, known as the primary, and we're headed to the big game, the general election. Candidate 1 will be pitted against Candidate 2, 3 versus 4, and so on. Decades after I went from a wannabe sports writer to a political junkie, we're seeing the influence of big money in both arenas. Not just multi-million-dollar contracts for athletes. I'm talking multi-million-dollar influence of political action committees and super PACs on elections. Maybe it's time to put the super PACs on salary caps and luxury tax penalties. But I digress. I want to talk about attendance. Instead of having to drive to watch games in the past or even try to catch them on TV, you now can follow the games from the comforts of your home over the internet or on your smartphone. As we saw in this past primary election, the modern-day voter doesn't much want to drive to a venue either to take in the playoffs or the big game. More than half the votes came by mail, not from people driving to an early voting location or their precinct. It's time to start a serious conversation about what's next in voting. Yes, I'm talking about voting over the internet from the comforts of home. This isn't candidates getting more likes on Facebook or more followers on Twitter. Folks, we can fill out our income taxes online, we can pay our bills, we can do our banking, we can manage our Social Security. I'm not a hacker, but if I were, I'd be after your bank or credit card information, not your voter ID. Step 1, we need a national database to be sure nobody can vote in more than one state in the same election. The game is changing. Internet voting is the next game changer. That's what I'm thinking. Join in the conversation at naplesnews.com.